You may think you're doing great, but how do your achievements compare to others your age? Have you peaked too early? Or are you way ahead in the game of life? Let's find out. Besides getting rid of acne, there is one thing on every teen's mind: getting a driver's license. Depending on where you live, this can happen between the ages of 16 and 18. So if you haven't gotten your driver's license by the time you're 18, you're falling behind. In recent years, more than 60% of people receive their driver's license in their teenage years. That's around 13 million teens in the US alone. Now, based on where you live and life circumstances, you may not have the opportunity to get a license, but it's definitely something you should consider doing as soon as possible, because having a driver's license allows for freedom from the parental units. No matter who you are, as a teen, you need to do this next thing. Your future could literally depend on it. 18-year-olds have an opportunity and duty to register to vote. If you don't like the way your town, state, or country is being run, you have no right to complain about it if you don't register to vote. Each year, more and more 18-year-olds register to vote, with 2020 being the highest turnout for teenage voters this century. If you're not registered to vote in your late teens, you are quickly losing points against others in your age group. If you don't register to vote, you can't be upset with how elections turn out, so what are you waiting for? As a teenager, you probably have heard of another important responsibility that's expected of you: getting a job. In 2021, around 50% of teenagers started working their first, second, or even third jobs. And although this is only half of the eligible teenage population, those with jobs, even something as menial as working the register at a fast food joint, still have a leg up on other teenagers who have never worked a day in their life. So if you're still receiving an allowance from mom and dad, it might be time to join the other teens who have taken the leap into the world of making their own money. One last thing you should do in your teenage years is to open a bank account and get a credit card. Whether you like it or not, you need to have money in order to survive in this world. 53% of 15-year-olds have a bank account of some sort, while around 20% have a credit card. This is often co-signed by a parent or guardian, since teenagers are a high-risk category for banks. But that's okay. If you're a teen who hasn't opened some kind of checking account or started to build credit, it is time. The sooner you get into the financial system, the sooner you can become more financially independent. Something to keep in mind is that as you grow older, money is going to play a big role in your life. If you're 21 or close to it, these next few life achievements are for you. Let's see where you stand. And if you're past this point in life, let's see if you did it right. The average yearly salary for a 21-year-old is around $30,000. This might seem high, but by 21, you should have a few things going for you. At this point, you could have been at the same job for multiple years, and if that's the case, you should be getting a raise each year. Even if you started at minimum wage by the time you're 21, it's time to either ask your boss for more money or find a higher paying job. Like most people your age, you're either in college or at least have a few college courses under your belt. But what else should you have achieved by the age of 21? Well, for one thing, you're now of legal drinking age, so maybe you could grab a drink. Over 3/4 of Americans have had a drink before the age of 21. We are not condoning underage drinking by any means, but if you're 21 and haven't tried your first alcoholic beverage yet, you're part of the minority. This next achievement for a 21-year-old might seem like a no-brainer, but the amount of 21-year-olds who still don't make their own doctor's appointments is staggering. The vast majority of 21-year-olds still have their dentist, optometrist, and doctor's appointments made by their parents. If you really want to be a high-achieving 21-year-old, you should be making your own appointments. Most pediatricians stop seeing patients when they become 18. However, some may keep you on until you're 21. If you're too old for a pediatrician, you're definitely too old to have someone else schedule your doctor's appointments. Technically, you can stay on your parents' health insurance until you're 26, but there's no minimum age to make your own appointments. And if you're a 21-year-old who wants to really be far ahead of your peers, you need to accomplish this next achievement. Over 52% of people around 21 years of age still live with their parents. If you're going to be a high achiever, you should have your own place, pay your own rent, and maintain a somewhat clean apartment by the age of 21. It's not an unrealistic goal to have, and something worth considering if you are 21 or older. We're now going to leap into the next decade. What should you have accomplished by age 30 that everyone else has? Well, this is when most people start considering themselves adults, so let's see how grown up you are. If you're currently 30 or close to it, think about how much money you make each year. Is it more than $41,000? If so, you're doing better than the average 30-year-old. To be fair, salary is highly dependent on where you live. For example, someone who lives in a small town in Texas is most likely going to make a lot less money than someone who lives in New York City. But the cost of living in the big city will almost certainly be much higher. There's something much more important than salary that every 30-year-old should have. If you're 30 and have not started a retirement account, you are definitely behind. But don't worry, there's still time. Think of it this way: you can start your own retirement account at any point, regardless of what job you have. Many of these accounts have a return of around 7%. If you start a retirement account right now at the age of 30, put $3,000 in it a year for 10 years, and then stop contributing at the age of 40, by the time you're 70 years old, you'll have close to $340,000 in the retirement account. That's a good chunk of change. So as soon as you're done with this video, you'll probably want to get started on that. Surprisingly, this next life achievement may be something that we thought was more common than it actually is. If you have a bachelor's degree by the time you're 30, you're one of the 37% of people your age that have accomplished this achievement. This means that over 60% of all 30-year-olds have not yet received an undergraduate degree. In terms of life achievements, this puts you way ahead of other members of your age bracket when searching for a job. But everyone also seems to have a side hustle. 64% of 30-year-olds report that they have a side gig or another way of making income than their regular job. If you're making around $10,000 a year just on your side hustle alone, you're about average for a 30-year-old. So although around 60% of people who are 30 do not have a college degree, that same percentage seems to be making a good chunk of change doing other things on the side. One of the main achievements in life that ushers someone into adulthood is getting married. If you are 30 and not yet married, don't worry too much. However, since the average age of marriage is 32, it may be time to start thinking about buying a ring for that special someone. At the age of 40, you're probably cruising. You're in a sweet spot in your career and hopefully you're working someplace that makes you happy. This means you're making around $52,000 a year, you're on par with your age bracket. However, if you're making less than that and are miserable at your job, it may be time for a midlife crisis. Some benchmarks for being 40 have to do with loans and a family. It's around this age that the average American family has finally paid off their student loan debt. This is quite the achievement, as getting a college degree is not cheap. It takes on average 18 and a half years to pay off student loans, so if you did this before you turned 40, you're ahead of the game. And it's a good thing too, because the next life achievement is not cheap either. At the age of 40, most people have started a family, or are very close to starting one. Around 86% of women are mothers by the time they're 40, and more than 60% of men were fathers by that age as well. If you don't have kids by the age of 40, you're in the minority, which might not be a bad thing depending on the lifestyle you want to live. By 50, the end of work might be in sight for you. Or perhaps you're so in love with what you do that you never want to stop. Either way, the average salary for someone who is 50 years old is around $50,000 a year. But many 50-year-olds report finding happiness in things other than money. This is a common point in life to start mentoring others. Maybe it's someone at work or through volunteer work. At 50 years old, you have learned a lot about life, so why not share it with someone else? It's also normal at this age to have all the debts and loans paid off. Most people who are 50 have paid off the mortgage on their house. If you still have massive amounts of credit debt or loans at this age, you might be working longer than some of those other people in your age bracket. Again, everyone's different and has different life circumstances, but most people who have planned ahead find themselves all caught up on bills, or relatively close to it by the age of 50. However, it's in the next age that many life achievements are reached, and the living gets good. At age 65, things can begin to shift. Whether it's your personal choice or your body's choice, you just can't work as much anymore. This is why certain programs were set up for people in this age to take advantage of, and why retirement normally occurs for people around the age of 65. For your entire career, you've been paying into Social Security and the Medicare system, and now you finally have the chance to reap the benefits. At 65, you're eligible for Medicare, which may not be the best insurance out there, but since you've been paying into it since your first job, you might as well take advantage of it. Also, at 65, many people start planning for Social Security, which you'll be eligible for the following year. It is at 66 that you've reached full retirement age in the eyes of the government, and you can collect your benefits without penalty. So, if you are 65 and not starting to collect on the benefits you've contributed to your whole life, you should most definitely look into that. On a more somber note, around 76% of people 65 and over have a will. This is not just because they're getting older, but because they want to ensure their final wishes are carried out, and their assets and money go to the right place, whether that be family, friends, or into a trust. Regardless of how you feel about retirement or getting older, 65 seems to be the time that your legal documents should be in order so you can have some kind of peace of mind. Lastly, let's talk about what achievement you've reached at the age of 80. First of all, if you're 80 and watching the infographic show video right now, we are honored. At 80 years old, you have seen and been through a lot. You've worked hard and beaten the odds because you are a couple years older than the average life expectancy. So just reaching this age is a life achievement in and of itself. Now watch you versus epic horror villains Jason Voorhees, Thanos, Freddy Krueger, Babadook, Pinhead, Jigsaw. Or check out you versus Siren Head. How could you defeat it and survive?